Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. We're going to be talking about from Image Comics, Two Graves, issue number 4. It is written by Genevieve Valentine, or Valentine, art by Annie Wu, colors by Lee Loughridge, and letters by Aditya Bidikar. Sorry if I mispronounced any of those names. It's no disrespect, just bad names. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. It does help. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. You even hit the bell, and that's free too. It'll let you know whenever I drop videos, because there's no schedule here. I just drop them when I can get to them. So without further ado, let me catch you up a little bit. First off, there's always a postcard that's keeping Journey with our tale. This one is Callaway Town, Kentucky. Last issue we were in Colorado. Basically, we are with a version of death, like a soul reaper, and for some reason he has come to collect the soul, which is our main character Emily, and for some reason he didn't collect. He is allowing her to, granting her her last wish, which is to take her mom's ashes to the Atlantic Ocean. He is not the only death or soul reaper that's out there, and that's kind of the antagonistic part about the book. We do have 4 other entities that are chasing death and our main character. At the moment they've kind of been in the background, but that's kind of where we're at. We're just now they're in Kentucky. There has been some moments where Amelia has touched the other soul reapers, and for some reason she has she can damage them, and this plays a kind of a key part in this. We also see that Amelia, for some reason, she is granted the power like he has. He sees I'm going to say it wrong, but optimisticity or however you say I don't know, but he's able to see all things at one time. And now currently, and you can kind of see through these characters the wavy lines, at moments when she chooses, she can see that. She can see when someone's going to die, how long they're going to live their life, that kind of stuff. At the moment, she's not really using it. It's kind of when she chooses to. Now him, on the other hand, he always sees like that. He does mention at one point in this book that he does appreciate this opportunity that he has with Amelia, because time is actually moving at a relative level versus the way he normally sees. But of course, every place they stop at has a it's kind of on his to-do list. He has a job. He still has to collect souls and ferry them on to the next life, whether it be good or bad. He doesn't really dwell in that. It's more he just kind of shows up, and after they've deceased or about to decease, that's when he kind of takes them. At this rest stop, we run into this guy, and she's already kind of used his power, and supposedly he's going to die at an early age, and she kind of walks over to him, and you can see right here she flicks him. When she flicks him, supposedly it grants him more lives on his it adds age to his, or years to his age, or whatever. But something it gave him 10 more years or something like that. He's still gonna die the same way that she had perceived, but somehow she was able to give him more years. We do cut over to another scene. It's at a prom. It's the reason the girl's on the cover, but of course we stop at this location because another person is about to die, and of course here it is the prom queen. You can see kind of the lines around him and stuff, and there's conversation about Emily asked him about kind of how he perceives things, and does it weigh on him and stuff like that, and he's just kind of not really. It's part of his job. They get into why he chose her, and he clarifies that it's a different kind of thing. She's not really a sidekick or somebody in training to be a next soul reaper or death or something like that. We haven't really got the reasoning on why he chose her, because he didn't save her. She still is dead. But we have seen multiple times that she cannot further die, I guess you can say. And she does have, like, there has been moments in the book, like the first issue, she was walking on air kind of off a cliff. Like, she's not able to kill herself, or I don't think anybody else can kill her. Um, After this, after they, do the deed, he ends up collecting the soul, which they show off panel. They don't really, show all that. But they're at a rest stop at a, you know, at a hotel before they go to their next stop, and the conversation, most of this issue is her narrative, and it's really been the first time Amelia giving us her part of the story. But basically at this point she's like, this is like the first person in her life that's actually like looked at her or paid attention, and she doesn't regret that she did die. She was already having a bad life kind of thing. Her mom died early. The way she got sick, she kind of mentions a lot of these things. But during this conversation, it kind of comes up like, because he does have this red mark that's under his neck, and that's because she had touched him before. Her touch physically causes him harm for some reason. And during the conversation, she wants to touch him, and he agrees to it, even though, he knows it will be pain, and she sees that, and it's almost like a romantic type of thing. And she even asked to kiss him, and that, he immediately is like, yes, and eventually she's like, no, she kind of, they show right here, she leaves out the door, but her reasoning is because she wants to keep him alive. She feels like at this moment, and the book kind of tells you at the same time, that her just being around him is hurting him, and like touching him definitely kills him kind of thing. She needs him to complete the whole like ashes thing. She thinks she does. So she ends up heading out. As soon as she heads out, she is struck by a massive tree that just hits the driver's side, crashes off a cliff. The last thing she says is "Mom." When she hits the ground, she walks out of the car. Normally, like I told you before, she can't die. I mean, it's almost like she goes into a ghost form, and she pops out of the car. We do see who sent the tree trunk. It's the other Soul Reapers that have been, after our main guy, Death. And they're basically here to complete his mission. That she's had enough time after she's died. It's time for her to pass on. At this point, it's all about, like, two things. One, they're kind of mystified that she was able to survive the crash with no damage whatsoever. They don't know how that's possible. And two, it's all about Amelia trying to get out of this situation and still continue on with her message. She does end up tricking one of them by basically letting them think that she knocked out Death, and that's how she's alone. After she gets the other two, she's specifically trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. But presently, they're just kind of like, going through the motion. She does convince them to, take her to a river that will lead to the Atlantic, so she still complete her mission. And you do see that she's by a river here. As soon as they get to the river and she starts kneeling down like she's going to put the ashes in there, we have this moment right here where one of the Soul Reapers kind of gets, crushed by this massive tree that comes out of nowhere. I'm not sure if it was Amelia that did this, or if it was some other presence. I want to say it was Amelia, because after what happens right here, it's a fight between, and I think her name is May. The other one was Decima. But there is a fight that goes on with the two, and basically Decima can't really do anything or May, I'm sorry, bad with names, guys. But she can't really do anything. There's a whole bunch of like superhero stuff, and normally it looks like May would be able to take this girl out. Eventually it looks like Amelia's gonna die. She does eventually black out. When she wakes up, she gets woken up by our dude Death, and he's like, well, what happened? What happened to Decima? She looks around, and we kind of get like this weird situation where she has been kind of knocked out on this tree stump, but we do see down here at the bottom that Decima is now in pieces. And that's kind of where the book leaves off. We do get this story about, the author and prom wars. If you're so inclined to read that, it is a couple pages long, but it was pretty good. They do give a preview of the next issue, which I think it is the last issue. I'm not sure, but that is the review. My thoughts: I'm loving the story. There's still a little like I hope we get the definition on why he saved Amelia, but it might not ever happen. That happens to be a running theme with some stories. Some things are just left up to, you know, your thoughts kind of thing. But I hope we do get like a reason on why he saved Amelia and all these people that he has, you know, surveyed on to the next life. Why was Amelia so important? You know, I'm pretty sure he's come across a whole bunch of sad stories that were just like her. But as far as everything else, I mean, it reads really easy. I love the art. You know, I'm not gonna say it's the best art I've ever seen, but it's not definitely nowhere near middle or lower class. I want to say the lettering too. I do love the lettering. I don't mention that enough, but it's usually because if I don't mention the lettering, it's a good thing. You know, I only kind of talk about the lettering if it's a bad thing. Okay, but I'm droning. That's my review. Please let me know your thoughts on this below. Are you reading this? As I can think, I don't know anybody that's mentioned they're reading Two Graves. So I would really like some feedback. Are you liking this? Have you given up on it? You know, let me know. But that's what I got for you. I'll let y'all guys go. I got more reviews coming.